Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the continuation of the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We are currently ending September 1983. September 24th, 1983 is this particular edition. Chris Adams and Buddy Roberts starts things. Adams, who is a couple of weeks off of taking Jimmy Garvin to the limit as the American champion, certainly can use the benefit of a win here just to keep him back on the straight and narrow as far as the fans are concerned. Buddy Roberts, a guy who, for the majority of his tenure in World Class, is seen as the Freebird Teeter, a guy who takes losses rather liberally, but always does so in an entertaining fashion, still wearing the headgear and hairpiece from the loss of his hair to Iceman King Parsons here. Very basic process of a match, although he uses a little bit more ride time and general maneuvers of a more wrestling nature than is typical for him, as is to be expected. Adams tries to keep the match on the mat, takes the match to the mat, uses, among other things, a rudimentary series of moves, including some leapfrogs, a super kick, of course, something that he popularized and has now been greatly overused. Roberts barely able to get up and is staggering around. There is a modified tombstone pile driver in this match with the forward jump right onto the back as opposed to dropping the head by Adams, and Adams goes to the top turnbuckle and is ready to fly, but gets crotched on the ropes or falls. Camera really doesn't show. It looks like somebody reaches for the ropes, but it's not fully shown. All we definitively see is Adams falling forward and falling off the top rope. Adams stays on his opponent quite a bit, though, willing to use the vertical suplex and others to get the advantage back. Roberts, to his credit, though, for a guy who has been treated less than adequately, if you are Buddy Roberts' family anyway, does use the time to get back to his feet several times. Takes a good deal of punishment. We do see a vertical suplex falling style by Adams, and among other things, near the close of the match, at around the 10-minute mark or so, maybe a little bit under that, Buddy is on the outside of the ring. Adams, who is quite patient and deliberate, on the inside, mainly because he doesn't want to waste motion, I wouldn't imagine, does gain a victory, and we move into seeing Coco Samoa versus Johnny Mantell. Samoa, who has been a enhancement talent for several months in the area. Mantell, kind of a 50-50 journeyman guy. If there's somebody greater to wrestle him, they out-wrestle him every time. But he can throw drop kicks and arm drags and body slams with the best of them when he's in there with a lesser talent. I do like the fact that one thing the bookers for Fritz von Erich and the World Class Territory seem to do is not let guys go through too many losses. They'll take a guy through a loss for a few weeks and then try to rehab him. Of course, that's also the consequence of needing more guys in a territorial format. Samoa, though, does use headbutts and the like to gain things going his way. Big flying leg drop, just vertical leap style, but still. Samoa thinks he's going to get the victory, but his opponent with a foot over the bottom rope, then Madrill with a crazy cross body almost overleaps him. Does not manage to overleap him, but comes really, really close. And then what's always interesting is the Samoans never lose or hardly ever lose. Never is too strong a word, but avoid losing in a striking battle when it's single strikes. So he gets an advantage there. And then we see the victory turned about as the Russian leg sweep into the float over by Mantell gives him the victory. We then move to another enhancement style matchup, wherein Terry Gordy and the Spike take on Ken Johnson. Obviously, this is what it's expected to be, a squash intended to get Brody, and more specifically the Spike of Brody, over to a greater degree. I don't know if they have brought the Spike in here because they thought Brody was getting, Gordy was getting stale. Johnson makes a few attempted ducks of moves and whatnot, but Gordy just powers him up from a crossbody into a big body slam. He doesn't need to cheat, but he likes to cheat. That's the wrap on Gordy. Gordy will send his opponent to the outside as part of this contest, and then go back and torture him some more. So certainly, Gordy definitely for the entire match shows the control of the process, and then locks the Spike in. Gets the victory, does Gordy. Gordy can be accused of maybe cheating with the Spike. We don't really know. All we know is that it's effective. Kevin Von Erich up next, addressing Devastation Incorporated, says that he wants to focus on the America's title, but Devastation Incorporated has caused trouble for he and his family. He says he's always there when his family needs him. We move into the Devastation Incorporated and Von Erich Brothers main event as Kevin and Kerry Von Erich face off against Mr. Ebony and the Mongol, managed by Skandor Akbar. And this is your basic tag match. Nothing really to write home about. The Von Erich boys use their speed. They don't necessarily use as many tag team maneuvers as you would think a brother team to use, or would want to use, or may benefit from using. Kerry also wears different kinds of tights. Sometimes the blue tights, sometimes the black tights. Kevin tends to like the yellow. Also, Kevin, the better technical wrestler, getting into and out of holds, where Kerry tends to rely more on the power. The power matchup between Mr. Ebony and Kevin is notable. Kevin actually wearing some boots this week. That's odd in itself. Kevin preferring usually to be barefoot, but not this week. Mongol comes back in, powers Kerry down. Kerry fights back to his feet quite easily. He also uses a monkey flip to break a hold here and there. And then it's interesting because Kevin, not wearing the boots as I thought, actually, his feet are so white sometimes. He looks like he's wearing boots. Kerry wearing the white boots, though, and that will trip you up. If you look at the Von Erichs really quickly, sometimes it's hard to tell them apart. We see Kevin going to town and using the leverage of his opponents. Then we see kind of Kerry wanting more power within himself as the Mongol locks him in a bear hug, always treated like he is, a guy who has to overcome adversity through power. Is Kerry Von Erich. We see that through him leaving the territory, believe it or not. Just a continual story being retold and retold. Kerry always having to use power, at least to a moderate to major degree. Kevin comes back in, has a sleeper hold on Mr. Ebony. Match breaks down into all four guys in the ring, and chaos ensues. Kerry tries the body slam and then a crossbody from the top by Kevin. 1, 2, and 3. Kevin gets the victory over Mr. Ebony and we close September on that note. We'll be back with more action right after this.